Someone should take Toby for a walk. Have you found some...
Oh dear, a map of London and the... Colonial Collection. The plants were here. All of them were stolen. According to... This is one of the outlets of the ventilation system. The smell is strong. It is a detergent. This broken fragment was the result of a heavy blow. A fragment of marble, most likely chipped. These plants come from all the territories of the British Empire.
Excuse me, but I have to tidy up this...
Colonial Collection.
Just be careful with the plants during your inspection.
Colonial... Colonial... A map of Kew... Nest... Direct... A water tank. A ventilation system.
Just be careful with the plant.
A map. That is not the one I... Here it is. The Divine Syndicate is not a supplier to Kew Gardens. Besides, there is no address here. That is... That... Here it is. This is where I keep my post.
Someone should take... Have you found...
Oh. A map of... Are you aware of the Divine Syndicate?
The Divine what? Is this a joke?
No, I am quite...
What a ridiculous name. Anyway, I have never heard...
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation. Tell me, have you ever...
No.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.
What should we do next, Holmes?
These windows were perfectly cleaned. Part of this greenhouse was emptied and thoroughly clean.
Excuse me, but I...
Just...
These windows... The smell... No, it wasn't like that. 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 No, it wasn't like that.
Excuse me, but I have to tidy up this...
Just be careful with the plants during your inspection.
Blood. Someone fell violently against this sign, and they were injured in the clash. Most likely a head wound. All the clues around here are quite suspicious. I need my imagination to make sense of it all. This reconstruction reveals a disturbing fact. Montague Dunn damaged the door of the Colonial Collection Room.
He was in a panic, or the door was locked. Was it an accident, or a murder then, I wonder?
A map of... I asked Inspector Lestrade to take Montague Dunn's body to Scotland Yard.
It's ready for autopsy then.
A membership card. A beautiful... This what? First of all, let us carry out an external examination. No redness, stings, or bruises. There are no suspicious marks upon the chest. There is an injury to the skull. The vessels and the air from the lungs. Nothing suspicious. Now, let us examine the internal organs. The lungs are congested and edematous. The tissue on the inferior lobe of the right lung is damaged, most probably caused by toxin. The heart's blood vessel. The heart tissue shows the liver. The liver tissue. The stomach tissues. The stomach. There is a small amount of content. My suspicions have been substantiated. Montague...
You mean
Yes.
we should inform?
Yes, but do remember, Watson, that I discovered the murder.
The challenge, Holmes?
We need to locate that deadly plant.
Murder of any kind appeals to you. Is that...
No. We also have the people working at Kew Gardens.
And also Miss White, of whom we spoke with Mr. Hamish. Should we bring them...
No. A few innocuous questions at Kew will suffice, as well as a discreet delve into their personal affairs. Yes, Watson. It is time now to open the doors.
Even those in the staff building? I suppose that is necessary.
We should also be concerned with the victim himself. After all, we don't know very...
You're enjoying...
My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. My archive. I can always consult with it if needed. Mr. Hamish, can you explain to us what happened?
But, oh,
You're not sure, then? But you're the deputy director.
well, I am busy. I cannot...
As deputy director,
To be honest with you, Mr. Holmes, it could... You see, every Tuesday he would carry out his inspection of the gardens, but it was solely to make an impression. Great... He would give out absurd orders, ignoring anyone else's opinion. He would then... He was what some might call a man of action. I'd say rather he was overzealous. So after all, it was no wonder, perhaps, that he ended up like that. If you take into consideration...
you mentioned that Mr.
Well, it's no secret that he enjoyed, celebrating, shall we say?
And
He had an eye for the ladies, to put it mildly.
Mr. Hamish, can you
That would be Albert.
what do you mean?
Well, he was never interested in Kew Gardens before. And now, I think he wants to take over the management here. He'd do better to leave that to me. He has no experience. No, none at all.
What is your opinion of Albert as a student of botany?
He's useless. I often tell him so, and I can only give him cleaning tasks. Botany is not his life's work, and his father...
He was.
Oh, yes. He forced his son to work here, and he never missed an opportunity to...
Are you able to elaborate on?
Well, for example, with our last exhibition here, Mr... But then, while the lad was speaking, Mr. Dunn interrupted him, asking him... It was with the intention of making a fool of him, Mr. Holmes.
That must have been terribly humiliating.
Yes, he was crushed, and he had to leave. Everybody was making fun of poor Albert. That is, except for Miss Margaret White.
You mentioned a Miss White. Would you tell us more about her?
She is a student who works here part-time. She is quite charming indeed. She possesses a great talent for botany. You should take a look at some of her experiments that she carried out in the laboratory. Ah, if only she were not so naive.
Why naive?
The way she used to flutter around Mr. Montague Dunn. And why, he couldn't help but be flattered by all her attention. How could an intelligent woman such as Miss White not see through his game? I can only scratch my head and wonder.
Tell me, Mr. Hamish, do you grow the more deadly variety of plant here?
You mean insectivorous? Yes, but nothing larger than that.
Thank you, Mr. Hamish. We shall continue our investigation. Who is Miss Margaret White?
Ah, she is the young lady who studies with me. She visits here sometimes to help out with the greenhouses. In fact, she should be here today. She wanted to work at the seed house. That's the small greenhouse across from the large glass house.
We noticed that a part of the colonial collection has been cleared.
Ah, at the moment I'm just dealing with the storage room. I don't know much about the other rooms.
I imagine that your relationship with your father...
Yes, I cannot say that he was a kind man, for he never listened to me at all. But now, after his death, I've been pondering it over. I have to follow his path, and I have to manage Kew Gardens. Yes, you can have them, but I cannot give you the keys to the cloakroom. The employee... Well, I have to tell you that Mr. Hamish is not and has never... My father would not have tolerated...
Indeed. That is...
Yes, because he believes that the management should be passed down to him now that my father is dead. But in actual fact, Mr. Hamish only has the honour of being the garden's longest-serving employee. In fact, if we are to think logically at all, it should be me who takes over the management of Kew Gardens.
Do you not have a good relationship with Mr. Hamish?
I suppose so. But we have very little in common. Mr. Hamish loves his plants and Kew Gardens, and I cannot say that I share his passion.
I see. And how was his relationship with...
Oh, he hated my father. It was obvious. He would be furious whenever my father boasted of Kew Gardens in the newspapers or at conferences. He was convinced that my father was stealing all of the credit for himself. That my father treated Mr. Hamish in the same way as he treated anyone. Dismissively. With indifference.
Thank you, young man. We shall see you again soon.